Hello, I'm your host, Yndiana Montes. Today, we're going to meet Diane Price. Diane Price is one of the founding mothers of Blue Ridge Women in Agriculture. I really admire this organization. That's why I drove to Todd, where Diane has a beautiful farm. I love to research history, and I think that the history of Blue Ridge Women in Agriculture deserves to be told.
I'm from Tennessee, but was away for many years. And my husband's from upstate New York originally, but we met in North Dakota. and came here. We were. I just had my daughter. She was 6 months old when we moved to this area, and I always wanted to farm. That was one of my biggest goals in life. And my grandmother was my inspiration. I used to hoe the garden alongside her. I used to sit on the porch and break beans with her. But after many years away from dirt, I was so happy to get back. And of all the things I've done in life and the places I've lived, I find coming back and digging in the dirt offered probably some of the best satisfaction I could get. It's just always felt good to get in the dirt. You know, food security, I didn't know that word, but I always had a heart for wanting people to have enough. And you know, when I was a child in Tennessee, we were a middle class family. My daddy had a nice sit down restaurant, and Mama stayed home with her 4 children and took care of the house. And but my mother was always making up food baskets or something, and she'd make the children go with her, like me and my siblings. And some of the situations we saw were unbelievable, that people were living like that and not getting food. And that really spoke to me. And I always wanted to save the world. You used to live in a small town and work for the local factory or 2 factories, and they took care of you. That's way gone by the way. And now the interest served is the corporate interest, not what's best for the people. I guess I was a health and environmental reporter at one point, and that gave me a lot of insight into what some of the corporation and the agro businesses were doing to our land, and it was just horrible. And you don't have to scratch the surface far to see that some of these chemicals are very toxic. They pollute our water, they pollute our land, they cause neurological damage in people, especially children. So if you're spraying Roundup on your land and your child goes out to play, they've been shown to have neurological damage. And a lot of people just do not want to listen to that. They would rather say, oh no, that's not true, or just ignore it. Although, Ag Extension, I can't say enough good things about them. They were and have been wonderful. They worked with us on their micro hydroelectric project, and then just a lot of help with trying to combat pests and what to grow and what direction to go into. So that's really helpful. But I never use toxins on this property, and a lot of the reasons is that we've got 2 creeks on the property, and they go into the New River, and I just couldn't even stand to think of runoff going into those creeks and ending up in the river. Plus, there were studies coming out locally that fish were mutating because of what was being dumped into the water. Blue Ridge Women in Ag. And you'd ask how we actually got the money. Well, we really were operating on a shoestring budget at the beginning, and it's whatever we could personally pull together, more or less. And I wrote a grant, and I had this period where I was really good with grants. I don't know why, but anyway, we got a $30,000 grant, and that just opened up the world. We could hold we had a conference that numerous women came to from all the counties around, and the women were so enthusiastic. Plus, we were doing the meetings. Most of us were trying to do the farmers market, which takes a lot of time to get ready for that. Plus, just the everyday taking care of the farm, and it really, we felt strong enough that we had to take the time out to do the meetings and get organized and support each other. And that was one of the big things, is supporting each other. I did have one or two of the men who I had nothing against, who said to me, "Why do you need that organization?" They didn't see it at all. And if you have a farm with a man and a woman doing work, even if it's equal work, I guarantee the man's going to get the credit. And I had a wonderful little tractor, an orange Kubota, and I had a man drive up here one day, and he said, "You think your husband would sell me that tractor?" And I said, "He better not, because it's mine." So it's taking a rightful place. There's nothing wrong with that, and I don't think men mean to push us aside or take all the credit. But that's how things have been done. It wasn't a matter of men not working with women. It's just that women weren't recognized, and I'm not sure they always received the help that they would need. The women in ag have grown so much, had such good leadership, and they support so many female-run farms, like Against the Grain comes to mind. And I'm just going, this is wonderful. This is wonderful, because they have a resource to turn to if they have questions. That I think they can even get mini grants. I also met a lot of wonderful women through the farmers market, and so they were an inspiration to me. And at the same time, I was working towards a master's in Appalachian Studies and working with Pat Beaver. Blue Ridge Women in Agriculture was one of the babies that we nurtured, and I have to say, Sue Counts and Judy Sharns were on top of everything, and I came to talk to Sue Counts at one time, just knowing that she was with Ag Extension, and I went to check on some things and talked to her about. So when I mentioned this, that we should have a group for women, Sue Counts said, "Oh, Judy Sharns and I are talking about that very thing." And it just took off from there. Sue is a great enabler of wonderful things, and she brought organic to Watauga County. She hired a person, Richard Boylan, who has been really good with the organic gardening movement, and he really had a heart for it. This is my daughter, Katie Griffith. She's taken a real interest in the farm now. As she's matured, and actually this spring, Katie and her husband Tyler and my husband Rob, we got together and we inoculated a new batch of mushroom logs, the shiitake mushroom logs, and so we've got those stacked in the hollow, and that is always one crop that we've been able to sell.
I love Blue Ridge Women in Ag. I volunteered through them before, and I just think it's a wonderful organization. I love the food hub. I think that's a great new thing they're doing.
It is wonderful.
And it just is so convenient and makes, local food more accessible to people.
This is the first issue for the Women in Ag, their newsletter, and I created this and actually had it printed in the spring of 2005. We had actually developed Women in Ag probably 2 years prior to that, and we'd had a conference by then and well attended. The conference was held in Boone at the Broyhill Center, which has been torn down, I think, since then, but it was part of ASU campus. And so with the grant we got, we were able to actually hold that conference and then also to publish the newsletter. And the initial statement of Blue Ridge Women in Ag that we had developed is it's dedicated to empowering women and their families with resources, education, and skills related to farming to overcome economic and social disparities that create barriers and make the children a population at risk. And we really tried to hold to that. A lot of the women who were farming and are farming, I should say, have so few resources and so little support. And they're overpowered a lot of times because of lack of labor, lack of money, just overall lack of support. And these women are looking to feed themselves and their children and to do the right thing. A lot of these women are growing naturally or organically, although the term organic has been co-opted. I feel like I have been incredibly blessed. I always wanted to farm. I was 40 years old before I got to farm, but it has been such a wonderful experience. I've met the most incredible people. I've had so many good interns. The food hub, oh my goodness, what a wonderful thing. If nothing else came out of Women in Ag, which I'm not saying that's the only thing, but the food hub has been such a good thing for people to market their crops. We are all in this circle of life, and we need to enable each other in a positive way to move to the next step. It used to really bother me that I was getting older and I couldn't do all the things I could before on the farm. And I've had to rethink a lot. And of course, COVID's given us all lots of time to think. But one of the things I do is I write. And so now I'm doing a book of short stories about the farm and things that have happened over the years. Many of them very happy, very funny, many of them extremely sad.